How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Blade Runner 2019. This is the third plot arc. This is issues 9, 10, 11, and 12, and although it's not out yet, this should be collected as trade paperback number 3, volume 3, and it will probably be titled Home Again, Home Again. This is actually the final plot arc for Blade Runner 2019. Now, for those of you who are big fans of the comic, and you might be sad to hear that, I should probably put a big asterisk next to that, because it's the final plot arc for Blade Runner 2019, not really the final plot arc of the series as a whole, because it's going to be brought back in January as Blade Runner 2029. And for those of you who've followed the comic and you know about the comic, Blade Runner 2019 hasn't really been set in 2019 since issue 4. So I'm okay with this change because, yeah, it is starting to bug me how far they had gone from 2019 and they were still calling it. So, yeah, it's an okay change. So yeah, the final 4 issues, let's go ahead and take a look at the covers. Issue 9, you get Ash on this building, climbing pretty high up, and you get the, Blade Runner, you get the grime with this dark purple chunk, this brown chunk, and this really neon lit up, well lit area. So she's hiding in the shadows. This is the well lit Tyrell pyramid there. This other one, 10, she's in space. She's got this cool asymmetrical ship where there's no pod on this side. She's here. And this other ship is shining lasers into the sky. And if you look at the asteroid behind him, it actually has some sort of building on top of that. Either a building or some sort of antenna. So, a really cool cover. This doesn't actually happen in the issue. But I like to think that some of these covers are like her case files, things she might have done during her career as a Blade Runner, and giving the idea that she has a lot more history than you might think about. These next two are both done by the same guy. They're both portrait covers, very film noir-y. Her doing a test with the eye scanner against someone who may or may not be a replicant, and you do get the classic film noir window blind light behind her. Classic film noir lighting. And that window blind element is repeated on here, issue 12, the final issue. Her drawing her gun, about to go into a big action scene. Now this is the final issue. They could have done a big standoff cover, but that might have spoiled what happened in the issue, so I guess I understand why they didn't do that. But yeah, this is the final issue right here, but the comic is coming back, just rebranded. So with that being said, I guess I'll jump into the book and into the plot. No spoilers for this plot arc, but I will be talking about the previous 2. So if you haven't read the first 2 volumes, issues 1 through 8, spoilers for that stuff. Not much spoilers for this. I will be talking about the basic plot and primarily sticking within the first issue, issue 9 there. So that being said, let's jump right in. Credit where credit is due. Here's the credits page, and you get to see that Mike Green and Mike Johnson are still here, and Andres Guinaldo is still here doing the art. Colors by Mark Lesko, lettering by Jim Campbell, edited by David Leitch. And I'd have to go back and look at volume 1, but I think this is pretty much the same creative team, and I have to give a comic major props for keeping the same creative team around that long. A lot of times the creative team will change and it will kind of disrupt the rhythm of the story, but here they kept them around. And let's go ahead and take a look at the larger credits really briefly, the higher-ups at Titan Comics, the people from the movies, and flip it over, and Blade Runner does something that I wish more comics would do, and that is provide us with a previously on. If you're reading these month by month, you have a whole month to forget what happened, and if you save them up 4 issues until the plot arc's over, like I do, you have at least 4 months to forget what happened. So thank you for putting this in there. it really does help you remember. But anyway, it talks about how there was the standoff at the way station, Hythe died, Cleo and the second replicant of her mother escaped to Arcadia, and she's going back to Earth to track down the father and hopefully give Cleo some peace. And you see home again, 2026 down at the bottom. So yeah, there's plot arc title. But also, if you note, 2026, the first two issues of this series have 2026 in this opening crawl here. The second two actually say 2027, so this plot must take place in December and January. So that's kind of cool, although part of me wishes we got a Blade Runner holiday special. Wouldn't that have been fun? But anyway, into the plot. Ash returns to Earth, and she goes to the first contact she can think of, her old boss from her Blade running days, and she gives her what information she has, said, oh, I never really believed what they said about you, and here's what I know. She goes through a few of her contacts as well on the street, but she knows the place she really needs to go to get the information. Here's a really cool shot I want to show you guys. This shot where her spinner comes in and gets closer to the camera and it pulls in to her. I really love that page where it's flying at you. The spinner is a really cool design. Anyway, where she goes to get her information, the decrepit ruins of the Tyrell Corporation, in this really nice double page spread there. Look at that. The building's all destroyed. A really, really cool setting for this. She goes in, and it's, of course, all abandoned looking. But it's, of course, got some people hanging out. You get this gang of violent people there, and it never really explains who they are. This one guy's got a red eye. I'm thinking they might be like half-finished replicants, or maybe just desperate people that wandered into this building. But a guy does help her get away. This guy, Faust, who is an employee, they just kind of left there, and he is kind of in denial about how much time has passed. He's really gone crazy. He's just trying to continue his work in this abandoned building. He's way too loyal to his boss. So he gives her what information he can, thinking she's on his side, and that sets her down the path. But of course, certain people may know when databases are accessed, and that sends them after her. And you do get a little bit of a chase. Now, the plot isn't, super straightforward from here. She doesn't just go to the dad. She, has to get away from people. She meets new people. You, of course, get to see a little bit more of the underground resistance. You get to see some more of the bad guys, a few cool chase scenes, a few cool action scenes, and it does build up to that showdown. Now, for those of you who want the big showdown where they're screaming at each other and they're fighting really big, this is more of a smaller, desperate moment, but it does lead to some really cool character bits. But it's not a giant battle, but it does do some pretty cool things. There also is, and I don't want to spoil it, but at the end of issue 9, a character comes back I didn't expect to see again, and there's a really cool twist with that character and how that character does things. But I have to leave that blank because I don't want to spoil it. It's a good review at the end, a good reveal at the end of issue 9. But this plot arc, you know how one of my criticisms of the comics in the past is each plot arc had a section that didn't feel too Blade Runner-y. In the first one, you had that escape sequence, which felt dystopian but not tech-noir. And then the second plot arc, you had that big section that felt like Alien. This one does have a brief section at a barn that doesn't really feel super tech-noir, super Blade Runner-y, but it does work for what it is. And it doesn't actually last too terribly long. It just feels odd to see a barn in the Blade Runner universe, but it is abandoned. It's just, I guess I always assume they just grew their food in labs or something, big vats. Anyway, with the story, you also get, really a rundown setting. There's a lot of Blade Runner stuff, but like I showed you with the abandoned Tyrell Corporation, really, really run down. And this is a lot of the ruins, the old parts of the Blade Runner universe. So that's pretty cool. But the story is also about being older, and she's going back and seeing how things left on Earth have aged and decayed, and going back and seeing that stuff. And you do get Ash. She's alone for a lot of this plot arc. Like the last one I really liked, they paired her and Hythe up, and you get the conversations between the two. Is a really cool dynamic. She's alone again, and everything's old, so it's a kind of a grungy plot. Chloe is gone for most of the story because they had her sent to the new colony. They do find a way to get her back there for a little bit. But yeah, Ash is alone and everything's all run down, but it's still pretty cool. Overall, I had a good time with this one, as I had on all the others. It's a cool finale, not epic building explosion finale, but it wraps everything up really tight. And I guess I should mention that in the other two plot arcs, it always left on this cliffhanger. I was really excited to see what happened next, but this is the end of 2019. They wrapped everything up pretty tight. You do get to see the characters are going to move continuously in the future, but it's not, oh man, what's going to happen next? So I guess I do like the bit of a closure since this is the end, but like I said earlier, not really the end. So we get an ad for the next issue, Blade Runner 2029, coming out in January 21st, and you get this really cool anime-inspired cover there. This cover by Peach Momoko. Now this is just the cover artist. You look at the front, and the creative team is thankfully exactly the same. The Mikes are there, Mike Green and Mike Johnson, and Andres Guinaldo. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing some of these names wrong. He's still the artist, so I really do love that sense of consistency. It's just the 2029 that's changed. Now, like I said earlier, Blade Runner is grime and shine. You get to see a lot of the shine here, not too much of the grime. I'm kind of wondering if they're going to take it in a popish direction, but this is, like I said, just a cover. And also I talked about in this review how Ash was acting pretty old and everything's run down, yet here she looks really young and everything looks happy. Maybe it'll be a change in the story, or like I said, this could just be a cover. I mean, it's a cover by a cover artist and not an interior book artist. This may just be a fun portrait cover idea, or this might tell us a little bit about what the story's about. We don't know at this point, but I've liked every plot arc of this book so far, all the issues, so I'm definitely gonna go in and check it out, and I can't wait till January 2021. 2020 ends, and then we get more Blade Runner comics, so two good things in a row there, huh? Anyway, that is the final plot arc for Blade Runner 2019. Really did like it, like that they tied everything up, and a cool finale for the story, and you do get to see more of that lovely rundown Blade Runner universe. Anyway, I do a comic a week on here, so if you come back next week, I'll have more stuff. Other than that, I do like 95% horror movies on this channel, so if that sounds like something you're interested in, I'd recommend sticking around. To everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. At the end of this video, I'll put a playlist to all my comic reviews, and that should have the other Blade Runner reviews in it, so if you want to see my reviews for the first two plot arcs, they're there. Anyway, have a good day, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Comics playlist at the end. See you guys soon.